Hey everyone, today we are going to be making Sailor Moon. This is a very beloved character and I hope you guys enjoy this one. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, help these videos grow. So let's do this together and I hope you enjoy this one. So everyone, you're going to need the colors yellow, red, white, royal blue, or a type of blue that's close to what Sailor Moon's blue is, and then flesh pink as well. So those are the colors that you'll need. I'm using 4-ply cotton yarn, so feel free to use that. And with 4-ply cotton yarn, I also use a 1.9mm hook, but feel free to use anywhere between a 1.75 and a 3mm hook. And of course, if you have your own yarn and your hook that corresponds to that, feel free to use that as well. You will also need a pair of cutters, some pins, and you know what, this can be optional, although I do recommend it to pin those hair strands together before you get to sewing them. You will also need a sewing or a leather needle. This one here is a leather needle just because of the shape at the end here, nice and sharp. So that just helps us get in and out of those stitches. So a sewing needle, leather needle. You'll also need some 6 or 7mm black safety eyes. And finally, you will need some fiber filling. So let us now get straight into it. So we are going to start off here by using flesh pink colored yarn, and you will just make a magic ring. And if you don't know how to make a magic ring, go check out my beginner crochet tutorial playlist where you can learn all of these techniques, come back here and master any one of my tutorials. Magic ring is now done. From here we are going to work 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. And before we complete these 6 single crochet stitches, I just want to tell you the type of single crochet stitch that I make. I have the yarn come underneath the hook first, followed by the yarn coming over the hook second as I pull through those 2 loops. So again, yarn comes under and then yarn comes over. And I just use that method YU, YO, or yarn under, yarn over the entire way through. Feel free also to use yarn under, but I wouldn't recommend yarn over, yarn over. I've got a linked video over here just so you can see the differences between those. Alright, so we've got 4 single crochet stitches. Here's number 5, and here is our final number 6. From here, you are going to pull this magic yarn tail to close the gap right there, and then you can either decide to crochet in a spiral, just use a stitch marker to keep track of those stitches, or you can finish off just like me, since this is a beginner tutorial, with a slip stitch and chain 1 at the end of each round. But if you want to weave in this yarn tail over here, let's do that now. So it goes over the top of the hook in order to weave it in as we come and make that slip stitch. Then we chain 1 and we are now ready for round number 2. For round number 2, this is what we're going to do. So we have the hook coming into the first stitch space. I'm going to have this yarn tail woven into the stitches, maybe for the first couple, and then that will be it. And I'm going to make something called an increase. An increase just means you work a single crochet stitch in the first stitch space, then you enter the hook in the same stitch space and work another single crochet stitch. And that there is our very first increase of the round. We will have another 5 increases to go in order to finish round 2. And at the end of round 2, you will have 12 stitches in the round. And round 3 is as follows. You will start off with a single crochet stitch first, and then you will work an increase in the next stitch space. Just like that. So we've got single increase. So let's do it again. Single first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2, and I want you to repeat that pattern all the way around. You have 18 stitches at the end of round number 3. And for round number 4, we will do the following. This is a slightly different round because we have some color changes and a new type of stitch that you probably haven't seen before. So let's do that right now. You're going to start off with 5 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is the 5th coming right up. And before you complete this 5th single crochet stitch, you are actually going to change your yarn color to red. So grab some red colored yarn at this point, leave a bit of a tail that you can weave in later, and pull it through those 2 loops on the hook, and there you go. So from here, that's our first color change, and that's how you're going to perform color changes all the time from here on out. Now we need to perform something in the next stitch, not the next stitch space, but the next stitch. Where is that stitch space going to be? It's not going to be here. It's going to be 1 round below that, right here, and we call that a spike. And because we're incorporating a bubble stitch at the same time, we have to start by wrapping the yarn. Then we come here in this one round below where we would normally go. Come here, have these 2 yarn tails over the top of the hook, pull up the yarn, and then pull the yarn through only 2 loops on the hook. And that gives you 2 loops left on the hook. Now I want you to repeat that. Wrap the yarn, come in that same stitch space, yarn tails over the top of the hook, pull up the yarn, and make sure you're pulling it up, and then pull through 2. And that leaves us with 3 loops on the hook, and we repeat that one more time. Here, come in here, have the 2 yarn tails over the top, pull up the yarn, and pull through 2. And there we go. We've got 4 loops left on the hook. And when you've got 4 loops on the hook, this is a signal to you ready to weave your next yarn color, which will be flesh pink, because we're changing back to flesh pink, through all 4 loops on the hook. There you go. And that is your first spike bubble stitch all done there. Now from here, you've got 5 single crochet stitches to work in your flesh pink colored yarn. And for the first 1 or 2, just have the red yarn tails over the top. So here's 1, and that's probably enough. 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one, complete it by changing the yarn color to red. So you can see we're changing yarn color again to red. Okay, wrap the yarn. We're going to do this spike bubble stitch again. So we're not coming here, but we're coming further down below right here. Have that flesh pink over the hook. Pull up the yarn and pull through 2. Wrap again. Come here, pull up and pull through 2. And once more, wrap the yarn. Come here, pull up and pull through 2. We have 4 loops on the hook now. And from here, we change our yarn color back to flesh pink. Pull through all 4 loops just like that. And you should have 6 single crochet stitches left in the round. Have the red yarn tail over the top of your hook for at least the first 1 or 2 single crochet stitches that you make in flesh pink. So I've done 2. I've got another 4 to go without weaving in. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. And then finish off with a slip stitch and chain 1. And then we can push this out, so we've got these bubble feet pushed outwards. We'll leave the red on. We may need it a little bit in future, but if you want to cut it at this point, feel free to do so, because later on we are adding an additional color as well. So those are the feet right there. Okay, so for round number 5, what we need to do is just 18 single crochet stitches in flesh pink, but I need to teach you something. We want to keep these stitches as straight as possible, right? So I'm going to teach you how to do this. You come in the stitch space and you pull the yarn up. This loop should be a little bit smaller than this one right here, just a little bit. But this is not the most important step. The most important step comes next, and this is where you pull the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook. What you want to do as you're pulling the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook is to keep it as vertical and even slightly more to the left as possible. So let's do that again. Keep it more to the left, more to the left, more to the left, just like that. And that's if you're a right-handed crocheter. It would be the opposite if you're a left-handed crocheter. But we're pulling it as vertical and to the left slightly as possible, and that will help redirect those stitches to be pulled more to the left rather than the right, and so you won't have the right slant. All right, continue on with those all those single crochet stitches until you get to the 18th, where we will change the yarn color. And here we go. So we're up to that 18th stitch right there, and I'm going to complete it in my white colored yarn. A little bit hard to see the color differences there, just because in the camera flesh pink and white look very close, but it's white colored yarn that I pulled through there. And then as I'm making my slip stitch, for those of you who are crocheting with slip stitch and chain 1, you want those 2 yarn tail ends to be woven on top. Now if you're crocheting in a spiral, you'll do the same thing but for the first stitch. Chain 1 for all of us, and then from here all you're going to do is work another 18 single crochet stitches but in white. And remember, keep those stitches as straight as possible by keeping the hook vertical and as to the left as possible as you pull it through those 2 loops on the hook. So keep going now, guys. This is round number 6, 18 single crochet stitches in white colored yarn. And round number 7 is very similar to round number 6, except that we are working only in the back loops of those stitch spaces all the way around. So single crochet stitches all the way around, but you're just working inside the back loops only. All right, so I'll let you guys continue round number 7, back loops only, 18 single crochet stitches. And rounds 8 and 9 are going to be again just like round number 6, where you are working 18 single crochet stitches in every single round. So that's for 2 rounds, rounds 8 and 9. So just keep working on those 18 single crochet stitches for the rounds. And we are now up to round number 10. So here we go now. This is a little bit of an interesting round just because we are incorporating new things here and color changes as well. So start off with 3 single crochet stitches in white. Always keep those stitches as straight as possible. I'll try to remind you as much as well. So then at the third, to complete your third stitch, you're going to change your yarn color to red. So pull through, and then for the 4th stitch, you're going to work a single crochet stitch in red. But before you finish this one as well, you are going to change back to your white colored yarn. Try not to get these too tangled, but it's not the end of the world if you do. So pull the white colored yarn through all of that. And now in this 5th stitch, you're going to work the spike bubble stitch again. So we're not coming here, we are coming here 1 round below and wrapping the yarn at the same time. Wrap the yarn, enter in, pull up the yarn, pull through 2. Wrap the yarn, insert hook, pull yarn through and up, and then pull through 2. And one more time, wrap the yarn, come in that same stitch space, pull up the yarn and pull through 2. You have 4 loops on the hook, and this is where you will change your yarn color back to red. So you can see there are a lot of yarn color changes that we're doing here, and we're going to keep on with this as well. So pull that through, and then for the next stitch space that you enter into, have that white colored yarn over the top of the hook. You can have the red as well if you've got space there, and just work a single crochet stitch. And before you complete this one, changing back to white. Keep the flesh pink there, but just change back to white. So we're going to pull that white colored yarn through those 2 loops on the hook. Give your little yarn tail a little bit of a pull so we don't have this as a loose stitch. But there's the first arm right there. Then you will have an additional 5 single crochet stitches in red. So sorry, in white. Why did I say red? Here we go. 1, 2, and you don't need to weave this red yarn in, by the way. I just did for the first couple. Here's number 3. But you don't need to, is my point. Number 4 and number 5. And on that 5th one, you're going to change your yarn color back to red. Another single crochet stitch in red, but complete it by changing back to white. You guys are going to be so proficient at color changes by the end of all of this. Change to white. There we go. And now from here, spike bubble stitch. We know it. Wrap the yarn, we're working that second arm. Wrap the yarn around the hook. Don't come here, come further down right here. Spike bubble stitch. Insert your hook. If you've got a little bit of yarn slack with your white colored yarn, weave it in. So you can just secure it in place. 2 on the hook. Let's do it again. Wrap the yarn, pull up, pull through 2. And one more time, wrap the yarn, insert, pull up, and pull through 2. 4 loops now on the hook. Change yarn color back to red. I'm sure you guessed it. Pulling through that red, another single crochet stitch in red, and change to white to finish off that single crochet stitch that was in red. And with the remaining stitches, let's weave in that red yarn tail for 1 single crochet stitch. 1, and how many do we have left? That's our 2nd single crochet stitch, our 3rd, and here is the final 4th. And then we come in here, slip stitch and chain 1, or continue in your spiral. Now, if you did a spiral, you may want to change the position of those arms, but it's the same thing. 2 red single crochet stitches surrounding that bubble stitch, and just reposition it so that those arms come on the side of those legs if you need to. It really depends on your tension and things like that. All right, so for this next round now, this is round number 11, we will do the following. Single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease. Oh, I didn't teach you how to do the invisible decrease. Here we go. So you want your your hook to come through the front loop of the first stitch, and then the front loop of the next stitch as well. And then you pull the yarn through those 2 front loops, and then pull through those 2 loops on the hook to finish it off. So that's single, invisible decrease. Let's do it again. Single crochet stitch first, followed by invisible decrease, front loop again of the next stitch, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. I want you to repeat that, keeping your stitches as straight as possible, another 4 times. You will have 12 stitches in the round at the end of round number 11. And I'm just going to take you to show you my final decrease, invisible decrease, front loop, yarn comes through, and then we change the yarn color, not to red, but this time to flesh pink. If you don't have flesh pink already here, go grab some. You should have it unless you cut it off, and then just weave it through those 2 loops on the hook to complete that final invisible decrease. Come in the first stitch space of the round, work a slip stitch and chain 1, or if you're crocheting in a spiral, you don't need to do that, just continue on in your spiral. I'm going to chop off now. Let's see what I have here. Looks like I have a yarn tail of white with another yarn tail and then red. So we're chopping off all of that because we have already woven them in that slip stitch that we made. Then I'm going to push these all the way into the body to hide. And we are up to round number 12. Now round number 12 is working in the back loops only, just those back loops. And we will work the following: single crochet stitch first, keep the stitches straight, guys, remember vertical to the left hook, and then in the next back loop you work an increase, 1 and 2. It's almost like the opposite of what we just did. Single crochet stitch first in the back loop, followed by an increase in the next back loop stitch space. And you're going to repeat that all the way around, another 4 times in total. You'll have 18 stitches at the end of round number 12. Round number 13 is very similar. You'll start off with 2 single crochet stitches this time, 1 and 2, followed by an increase, 1, same stitch space, and 2. And you just repeat that over and over until you've worked it a total of 6 times. 2 single crochet stitches first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. All right, continue that, guys, another 4 times till you finish round number 13. And for the next 4 rounds, this is rounds 14 all the way to 17, 14, 15, 16, and 17. You are just working 24 single crochet stitches in each round. And that's it. So that's for the next 4 rounds, guys. So let's come back together at the end of round number 17 to begin round number 18 together. And those 4 rounds are now completed. Fantastic work, guys. So now we're up to round number 18, and we're going to do the following. Start off with 2 single crochet stitches, followed by an invisible decrease. Front loop again, pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through. And just repeat that all the way around. Single, another single, followed by invisible decrease, front loop again, pull yarn through and pull the yarn through. Repeat another 4 times that same pattern, and you will have 18 stitches at the end of round number 18. Finish round number 18 there. Now, if you wanted to add eyes in the fiber filling at this point, feel free to do so. I'm going to do one more round before I do that. So what we will do is start off with a single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease. And you just repeat that all the way around, single invisible decrease. You will have 12 stitches at the end of round number 19. Okay, so as you can see, I've inserted the eyes, and these are 6/7 millimeter black safety eyes. I think these ones are 6, but feel free to use 7 as well, completely up to you. You want to keep them in line, so kind of coming between those arms and in line with the legs as best as possible. I've got about 2 stitch spaces between the eyes, and these eyes will end up being between rounds 15 and 16, so in line with rounds 15 and 16 in between there, and make sure you seal them at the back as well. Now from here we are up to adding the fiber filling, and when you're adding fiber filling, you want to add this in small layers at a time. So for example, here's a small little bit of fiber filling, and then I'm going to push it down with a pair of cutters and condense it in place, and I'll just keep doing that over and over. You never want to add it in huge chunks because you may miss areas and not have it evenly distributed all the way around. And then I use a pair of cutters or something that can help condense and compress that fiber filling as well to, again, get rid of those air pockets as best as possible. So we're just going to keep adding this in small layers all the way up until the top of the head. So I'll let you guys continue with that now. And we've filled it all up to the very top, and I'm just holding it in place with my third finger there in my left hand. So this last round, round number 20, we are just doing the following. You will make invisible decreases all the way around. So there will be 6 in total, or if you crochet in a spiral, there will only be 5 in total, and you'll then come to the next stitch space with a slip stitch. I just wanted to tell you that in case you already fast forwarded it. But here we go. So these slip stitches, that's my third one. Here's my fourth coming right up. I may as well go through this with you. So fourth, the fifth one, if you crochet in a spiral, this is your last invisible decrease. And then in this space, you make a slip stitch. Now for the rest of us, we have one more slip stitch to go. And then we come in that very first stitch space again for the rest of us and work a slip stitch. Pull the yarn through, and everyone can pull the yarn through now. And leave yourselves about a good 15 centimeter tail. When I say good, sometimes I mean a little bit more. But again, 15 centimeters is like your minimum. Okay, grab your yarn needle and we're going to close the top of this. So we've woven our yarn through the eye of our leather needle. And then from here, we are going to insert the needle through the front loops of all the remaining stitches in the round. So for us, there will be 6. For those who crocheted in a spiral, there will be 7. So you can see we're just coming up those front loops all the way around. Just like that. Here's our final one. Boom. And then it's at this point you want to pull it in that clockwise direction, keeping that circle or the direction of those stitches. So close, close, close. All done right there. Push in any bumps inside the middle section to kind of keep it nice and even, and then you want your needle coming into the center. Come out anywhere in the face. It's all the same colored yarn here. Pull, 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 pull. Keep this nice and flat. Doesn't need to be pulled so hard, but just enough to keep it flat. Push any bumps again into the center. And then from here, you are going to be weaving the yarn across the diagonal. Can you see here how you can see this line, this line, this line? We're keeping that consistent. So we're going across here. And we're just going to keep repeating this. Pull, pull, pull. And here we go again. So keeping that diagonal to weave it in, and you won't even notice that you've woven in those stitches as well. Just never go vertical, never go horizontal, and no need to go the opposite diagonal as well, just unless the stitch was going that direction, probably if you're a left-handed crocheter. And we're just going to weave this in maybe about, let's say, 5 to 6 times now in total. I think that's my 4th. Here's maybe my 5th. And I'm going to probably stop it over here. So there we go. That's woven in enough now. Just use a pair of cutters. This is nicely secured now. And hide any excess inside the head. And that's it. There is Sailor Moon's body all finished. Let us continue now with the skirt using blue colored yarn. Start off with a little bit of a yarn tail, maybe like 10 centimeters. Doesn't need to be long, just enough to be able to weave this in later on. And start off by making a slip knot, regular slip knot. Done. From here, you're going to chain for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you will start in the second loop from the hook with a single crochet stitch. In the next loop, you work another single crochet stitch. This is row number 1, by the way, guys. And then I want you to work a half double crochet stitch in the very last loop. Half double crochet stitch, all done. Now to finish off each row, you are going to chain 1 and turn the work. Now from here on out, you are always going to be working in the back loops only of your piece, just those back loops. And you are going to work the opposite of what you just did. So we'll start off with a half double crochet stitch, back loop only, followed by 2 back loop only single crochet stitches, 1 and 2. There we go. Chain 1, turn, and now do the opposite but back loops only. So 2 single crochet stitches first. This is our 3rd time of doing it, row number 3. 2 single crochet stitches first, followed by a half double crochet stitch, and make sure you're getting into that back loop. You don't want to get into the front loop at that point. There we go. And you're just going to keep repeating this until the row number down the bottom, and we'll come back at the end of this. Okay, so I only did mine up to row number 21 here, but feel free to add more or less depending on how wide this is. Like for this one I had to do 24, I believe 23 or 24, so it really can depend on the yarn tension, the yarn thickness, but in general somewhere in the 20s is how many rows you want to have in total. Once you're happy with the sizing of that, you're going to pull the yarn through, leave a little bit of a yarn tail, I would say about 30 centimeters, chop it off, and there is your skirt almost finished. We will just need to do some sewing later on to the body, but in any case that is the skirt all done. Let us now make the collar in blue colored yarn as well. So what we will do is leave a little bit of a yarn tail, maybe 7 centimeters, we'll use that later for weaving in, and make a slip knot. Now from here you're going to chain 24. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, halfway, 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 and 24. Okay, you're probably here now, you probably fast forwarded all of that, and let us begin row number 1. We will start in the second loop from the hook, and you'll just work a nice slip stitch. Easy done. Now for the next 4 loops, you will work 4 single crochet stitches. 1 2 3 and number 4. And from here you are going to work 13 half double crochet stitches in the next 13 loops. So I'll just show you a couple of them. 1 half double crochet stitch is wrap the yarn, come through the loop, pull up some yarn, and pull through all 3 loops on the hook at the same time. So that's the second half double crochet stitch. Here's the third, wrap the yarn, come through, pull the yarn up, and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. That is the next half double crochet stitch. I'll show you one more time. Wrap the yarn for your half double crochet, come inside the next loop, pull up the yarn, and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. There we go. So I've completed 4 half double crochet stitches. Now I have up until 13 to make. And we have made all 13 half double crochet stitches at that point. Now from here we will work an additional 4 single crochet stitches in the next 4 loops. 1, get this one out of the way so you can see. 2, it reminds me of those crochet tutorials that you can't see a thing. Here's number 3, and here is number 4. And in the last loop, you should only have 1 loop. You'll just work a slip stitch, just like that. Pull the yarn through, leave yourselves a little bit of a yarn tail, maybe 20 centimeters this time. And we are going to use the longer yarn tail for sewing all of this around the neck portion of our Sailor Moon, just like that. So we're kind of going to stretch it as much as possible, leave like maybe 1 stitch space in the center of the body, and then sew that all the way around, just like that. But we'll do that later. All right, when it comes to the little bow tie, we're going to leave about a 10 centimeter yarn tail. Start then by making a magic ring. So here is our magic ring coming straight up, and there we go. Magic ring all done. Now from here, what I want you to do is you can chain 1 and work 2 half double crochet stitches inside your bow. Now you know what a half double crochet stitch is now. Wrap the yarn, come in, pull it up. You've got 3 loops on the hook. You're going to pull the yarn through all 3 loops on the hook. Only 2 half double crochet stitches is what I want you guys to make. Then chain 1. Then come in here, the magic ring, and work a slip stitch. Done. Then chain 1 and work another 2 half double crochet stitches. Here's the first, here's the second, chain 1, followed by, in your magic ring, work an additional slip stitch to finish this off, and then pull the yarn through the loop on the hook. Give yourselves about a 30 centimeter, I've got like 40 centimeter. I just want more rather than less because I don't want to have to end up with not as much and make it difficult for myself later on. So let's say 30 to 40 centimeters of a yarn tail there. And then from here, grab that center of the magic ring, this yarn tail, and pull, pull, pull. Close it up. Close up your little bow, just like that. Now you want to wrap the shorter yarn tail across the center of your bow, just maybe twice, and then leave it at the back. Leave it at the back. And then with this one, you'll do the exact same thing, but you're going to wrap a little bit tighter all the way around. You can go in the opposite direction if you'd like, but I'm just going to keep it consistent. 1, try and keep it nice and tight. 2, and 2 is probably enough. I'll just do maybe 1 more to secure this. Then you turn it around and tie these 2 yarn tail ends at the back. Now this is optional, you don't have to tie them. I will only tie it once as well, not in a double knot, and the rest of it will sort out later. I'm kind of just tying it here, and I'm kind of pulling it down towards the center of the back of the bow as well, and I'm giving it a tight pull or a tight squeeze. It ends up coming across to the top, but you want to kind of pull it down as best as possible. Now with the rest of this, we will deal with later. Just as long as you've wrapped and you've tied and you've got the 2 yarn tails towards the back, and we will work with those a little bit later. Keep that nice and tight though, as best as you can. And there is the little bow tie that we will finish off a little bit later. Oops. I just threw my hook for some reason. Wait, finally it took me about 5 minutes to find this hook. I came here and then it accidentally flicked out of my hand, and then I was like, oh, I can't start. And then it took me 5 minutes to find it. Anyway, we found it. Restored. 1.9mm hook. Okay, so for the hair, what we are going to do, sorry, is start off with a magic ring. And then from here, we are going to do the following. You're going to work 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. Here's number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Now, of course, I'm going very fast for a lot of you. That's not beginner stage, working of those stitches, but I wanted to get it because I know you're going to be also reading at the bottom, and you'll just see me doing it at the same time. And a lot of the times I cut all of the extra steps that are a bit redundant anyway. Okay, from here, round number 1, make a slip stitch and chain 1. Yes, make a slip stitch and chain 1 after every round for the hair. For round number 2, you are going to work just as you did for the body, increases in every stitch space. So we will have 6 increases in total, giving you 12 stitches at the end of round number 2. Round number 3 is going to be same as the body again, single crochet stitch followed by an increase 1, and here's the second. So repeat that single increase all the way around until you have 18 stitches at the end of round number 3. Now I have made the slip stitch at the end of round 3, but I haven't chained 1 just yet because this is where we begin our hair strands. So for the next 4 hair strands, you're going to be doing this. Chain 4. Oh, maybe I did chain 1. Wait, let me check. I think I did chain 1. Okay, let's chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the second loop from the hook, work a slip stitch. For the additional 2 loops, work single crochet stitches. 1 and 2. Come into the second stitch space of round number 3 and work a slip stitch. Repeat 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, followed by 2 single crochet stitches, 1 and 2. Slip stitch in the next stitch space of round number 3. I want you to repeat this and this. So basically just once, another 2 times. So you'll have another 2 strands here, 4 in total. Alright, so we've just made those 4 hair strands there. Fantastic work, guys. Now we will make another 3 hair strands in the same way. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, followed by 3 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, and the third. Slip stitch in the next stitch space of round number 3. Repeat an additional 2 times. You will have 3 strands of chain 5. So we just completed those 3 chain 5 hair strands. For the next one, we're chaining 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, followed by 4 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, and here's 4. Then you'll come into the next stitch space of round 3 with a slip stitch. And it's from here that we're doing something a little bit different. So what you want to do is chain 30. Or let's say chain 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to fast forward this now. And here is number 30. Now technically I've chained 30 now, and I'm going to pull the yarn through to finish this off. And yes, I will cut the yarn actually. So cut your yarn. Just making sure. What have I done there? Whoopsie, I couldn't find the center. Okay, cut the yarn. Leave yourselves just a little bit. Doesn't need to be much. And now you're going to come right back to that same stitch space. Right back to that same stitch space. Can you see that? Enter your hook in that same stitch space. Attach the yarn, leave a little bit of a yarn tail. Attach the yarn by pulling it through. And chain 30 again. And there we go. I have chain 30, pulling the yarn through, cut it, only leave like 2 centimeters. It really doesn't matter. We're going to cut this even more anyway. So now we've made 2 hair strands. You can give those a little twist now or later, doesn't matter. A little twist like that. And now insert your hook in the very next stitch space over here. You're going to attach the yarn at the same time, but first of all, I want you to have this yarn tail over. Oh, we can do that later actually. So grab your yarn, leave a bit of a yarn tail, pull through, leave these 2 yarn tails at this very moment. We're going to weave them in. You need to weave them in. You could also have a knot here, but I prefer weaving in. And then from here, you will do the following. Chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, followed by 5 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the 5th. There we go. Now remember what we said, we've got these 2 yarn tails down here, right? So we want to make a slip stitch in the next stitch space, but as we do that, we want these 2 yarn tails over the top of the hook to weave them in that slip stitch. And you're going to do that for the next 3 hair strands as well. So for the next 3 hair strands, it's the same thing, chaining 7, slip stitch, 5 single crochet stitches, slip stitch in the next stitch, but carry over these 2 yarn tails as you do that. So all in all, you will have all in all, you will have 4 hair strands of chain 7. And here's my 4th chain 7 hair strand right here. I've already woven these 2 yarn tails in all of those slip stitches that I did. I'm going to leave it now. I won't work it into the next one. And I'll just work a slip stitch normally. And then from here, we will do the same thing that we did over here, which is chain 30. So chain 30. Is done. Pull the yarn through, cut yourselves a little bit of a yarn tail there, not much, we will end up cutting that later. Come all the way back to the top, wherever this was inserted into, you want to have your hook inserting back into that same stitch space as this chain here. Then you're going to pull the yarn through and chain 30 again. Chain 30 is done. Pull the yarn through, cut the yarn. There we go. And we don't have too many to go, but in the same way, we had these 2 yarn tails, or 1 so far, and we are going to, you can chop off these 2 yarn tails now because they have been woven in. So make sure you're hitting the right ones. Take those away. So you've got 1 yarn tail here. You're attaching to the very next stitch space, which is right here. There's my next stitch space. We're going to attach the yarn. Just like that. And we are going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start off with a slip stitch in the second loop from the hook. Oopsie, didn't get all the yarn there. Make sure you're getting all the yarn. So slip stitch first, followed by 4 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, and here's the 4th. Then we come into this next stitch space over here and have those 2 yarn tails over the top of the hook, and you're going to weave these in now for the next couple of hair strands. Next 3 actually, or maybe 2. Let's just do another 2 that we'll weave them into. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and for the next 3 hair strands, weaving this in for the next 2, you want to do the following: slip stitch first, followed by 3 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, and number 3. Next stitch space over here, slip stitch, and do the same thing. Weave this in one more time later on. So after this hair strand, come into this slip stitch, weave the hair strand, these 2 yarn tails in at the same time. So another 2 hair strands of chaining 5. And we have chained that final hair strand of chained 5. And now I want you to come into the very first space of the round, and this is where you'll perform your final slip stitch, and then pull the yarn through, leaving yourselves a good maybe 30 to 40 centimeter yarn tail so that you can use this for sewing to the head later on. Now with these 2 yarn tails, these can be cut because we have now woven them in. Just want to make sure I'm getting all of that. So chop that off. You can even chop the center a little bit, or you can choose to weave it in depending on how you want to do that. But that is the first lot of hair. Part 1 done. Now we need to do the next part as well. And the final thing to crochet before we get to the sewing and assembly section is the following. You want to start by making a magic ring, just like that, and then work 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. 1, 2, almost 3. I think I just wove in something. There we go. Number 3, number 4, 5, and number 6. We're going to complete each round with a slip stitch and chain 1. Don't forget, you always pull that yarn tail to close the gap as well. So here we go. Come in the very first stitch of the round, make a slip stitch and chain 1. And then for the next 2 rounds, you will just work 6 single crochet stitches, and that is it. So that's for the next 2 rounds. Now once you've finished this, we'll come back together at the end. You actually want to make 2 of these pieces. So this is hair part number 2, kind of like the hair buns actually. We'll call it the hair buns. How about that? And then when you come into this slip stitch, the first stitch of the round, to make the slip stitch and chain 1, I want you to have this come the right way around now. So push that so it's the right way around, otherwise it's very difficult to do that later. And then for the 3rd round, again, for your final round, 3rd round, you want 6 single crochet stitches as well. So here's number 2. Now again, you don't really need to do much with this. We'll have a look at how we sew this later, and you might want to add a little bit of fiber filling just to give it that sort of shape, consistency. But in any case, we now have your 6 single crochet stitches coming into the very first stitch space of the round and making a slip stitch to finish that off. And that is where we finish it off, and you'll just cut yourselves about a good 15 to 20 centimeter yarn tail. Then I want you to cut the magic ring yarn tail and kind of push it inside the little bun space to hide. And you can fill this up with just a little bit of fiber filling as well, but you can do that later on as you do the sewing. I want you to make 2 of these in total. It's now for the fun part, the sewing, yay! So what we want to do is pin all of those hair strands to the head. So remember how we had those chain 4 hair strands, 1, 2, 3, and 4? They need to be across the front center of the forehead. And then you're basically just pinning everything else down. Now when it comes to these hair strands, you do want to start twisting it, and then you'll pin it kind of in line with this diagonal here, but make sure it's in the direction where the natural twist wants to go as well. I had it twisted the other way and it just wasn't staying twisted, so I turned it and then pinned it. So that's just a quick tip for you there, and do the exact same for the other side until you've reached the end. Now when it comes to the actual sewing, this is what we're going to do. So just weave your 30 centimeter or 40 centimeter yarn tail into the eye of your leather or sewing needle at this point, and then from here you want to enter it either somewhere forward that's very close or somewhere just back that's also very close, and then you're going to open a pin of one of those 4 hair strands, doesn't matter which one. You could start anywhere you like, for instance, but I'm just trying to teach you the technique. You're going to loosen a pin, have the needle come through, and then you want to come up the side of the hair strand towards the bottom, not right at the tip, but towards the side at the bottom, and just come through one of those strands at the side and pull it through. Then you take your pin out, and then you're going to come and work your needle through the side of the opposite end of that hair strand, right near the end again, and come into the same stitch space. And then pull up your next needle, or pin, sorry, and then have the needle coming through exactly where that pin was placed as well. Give it a little pull. So that one is now secured. So we'll do the same for this one. So we're coming up the side right towards the end, just not the tip. Take out the pin, pull up your yarn, come around the other side in that next hair strand or side strand, and then come straight into that same stitch space, and then pull up your next pin and have the needle come exactly through that space as well, wherever the pin was. And then we'll give it a little bit of a pull to finish off your next or previous hair strand. So now we have sewn 2 hair strands together, and I want you to complete that technique all the way around, including this and including this, and then you should have the hair sewn on. So I'm going to let you do that, and we'll come back at the final hair strand. I'm in my last hair strand here right now. I'm going to pull that through just like that, and now I'm right in the crown section. We call this the crown, at the kind of the edging portion of my head, at least in my case, that's what I call it. So I'm just going to work across the border just a little bit in a couple of those stitch spaces. Might sew this like 4 to 5 times in total. Now if you don't have enough yarn tail, then you need to get some more yellow yarn and then just enter it here and come out and start working it. But in the end, you want to make sure that your yarn tails come out in the same position. So you come out somewhere in the body and then tie those 2 yarn tails together to secure it. Now for me, I've already woven that in a number of times, so I don't need to secure this yarn tail. So I'm just going to cut it directly and hide it inside the head just like that. So there we go. There are my hair strands. Now for the bottoms of these, we are going to cut these. So give them a nice pull first and then cut it on a diagonal. Not directly straight, just on a diagonal. That's a little hair tip for you, always cut on the diagonal. And then we'll do the same for these ones. So I'm going to line them up and just cut on a diagonal. 1, 2. And there we go. So we don't have much of a yarn tail there for the tips. And that is officially finished the hair portion. And now let's get on to some of the other things. So here's my skirt, and obviously the single crochet stitches portion needs to be up the top as you wrap it around. So my yarn tails are kind of at the bottom, so I am going to have to work them to the top first. So I'm going to quickly do this by just weaving a little bit back and forth, that's all. So there's 1, 2, and here I'm up the top now. I'm eventually going to sew this later on, but now what I want you to do is wrap this around, and you can even pin it a little bit. You want to have it lined up where that back loop is. Can you see that? So try and get it in those back loops. So I'll just pin it maybe over here just one time. And then we're coming to the back, and you want to do the following. So you've got these. Get that hair out the way. You've got these 2 ends, right? You're just going to weave them together. Front to front. And we're just going to weave in and out until it's all woven nicely together. In fact, our skirt feels a little big, but it's okay. Slightly big, but we're okay. And then I'll come in this last little place here with the last one over here as well. And there we go. So we've kind of worked these together now. And from here, we're just going to go back so we can secure it even more. And did I just go? I hope I didn't. I did. I unraveled that stitch space, so I've got to go back through it. Whoopsie. There's that one. And then I'll come back over here, and you're just weaving the skirt together to kind of close it. Now there's other ways of closing the skirt. You could have done slip stitches, but I'm just going to leave it like this. Probably the easiest for me in this situation right now. Okay, and then where that back loop is over here, you're just going to have the yarn tail come through there. Then I'm going to work it kind of on the side-ish. So it's going to pull up just like that. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to weave around wherever my yarn tail is. Weave around there and come back where that back loop is. And then I'll come across this side as well and do the exact same thing. So basically, all we are doing at this point is just sewing the skirt to the center of the body to keep it nicely secured. So we've done this side, and now let's do this side over here. Where's that back loop over here? So let's go a little bit in front of it. And then back into that same stitch space that we came out of. We'll do the same maybe over, let's go over here. Just like that, and we'll do the front as well. I probably did this one too high, but I need to keep it consistent now, so I'll do it the same with this. I went too high. You can either go above the back loop or below it, but just keep consistent. Not like me, but I'll fix it anyway. It will end up working out for me. I'm coming out in any stitch space now. And then from here, I can take out my pin because I don't need that anymore. And I can even do the same thing with this yarn tail as well. Just work it a couple of these stitch spaces so I can secure this skirt even further, and we will know that it will never come off. So guys, just secure it with this other yarn tail and then have those two yarn tails come out here, tie them in a double knot, cut and hide. So have your yarn tails come out at the bottom here after you've sewn the skirt all the way around. Now, just one more thing, I would recommend having the skirt sewn underneath that back loop only. But again, that's completely up to your preference. Just try and keep it consistent. I accidentally didn't keep mine consistent, but it's okay. Okay, and then cut the yarn after you've tied it in a double knot and hide it inside the body. You can use either the back of your hook to kind of push it in there, or a sewing needle to just push it in and pull it as well. Okay, so skirt is now securely on, which is fantastic. Next thing we want to do is add and sew in the collar. So here you can see we have pinned on the collar. So we've got a tiny little gap in the center of those eyes coming down there. And what we want to do with the longer yarn tail is to sew this right here and then work here and sew that part, and then just sew maybe like one or two at the back. So let's do that now. Okay, here's my sewing needle. I'm going to come in where I think it's a good spot to begin, which should just be where the pin is. Somewhere about here, and then I'll do the same where this pin is. So I'll take up the pin, and then I will have my needle come through that section. Try not to sew the hair as you're doing that. Okay, so I'm coming here towards the, what do you call this, like the corner end, the edge, and then come straight back in. And what I will do is I'll come at the back, and I've kind of come just between where it switches from white to flesh pink. I'm just coming here, and I'm just also going to work around a stitch space of the collar. And we'll do that in maybe 2 spots. It doesn't need to be many. It's just helps to secure this in place, and that's it. So this is my last one here, coming back into that same stitch space. And then I'm going to work just maybe out the front of the body here. It doesn't matter where. It's just that I want that other yarn tail to come in the same spot. So I'm going to now have this come in and come out over here. So here you can see I'm coming through. I'm going to pull that in. I'm going to take this pin out. So this is all nicely secured. Now, if you wanted to make this a little bit neater, I will come here because technically we haven't come around these two stitch spaces over here. So I'm going to come through the center of those two, kind of like the edge where we did before here, and then just work in the same way, coming back into that same stitch space and then coming out over here again. Just trying to work this needle through so I can get there. I don't know what's stuck in the way, but we're gonna get there. There we go. Pull through. There we go. It's just a neater finish right there. And then tie these two in a double knot and hide them inside the body after cutting. We're up to the bow section, so grab your long yarn tail and just weave it through the center or the eye of the needle, and then have that needle come underneath all of these yarn tails that we wrapped earlier, if you remember that. So I'm just kind of pulling that there. We'll do the same for this one a little bit later, but essentially you just want to have it underneath like that. Now from here, what I want you to do is, can you see this portion here? So we need to see which direction this bow is going and have the needle come in the same direction. So I'm going to have it come over here and come out over here. And then I'm going to pull this through. And then from there, we are going to, can you see the back of that bow? We're going to weave it through all of those tight yarn wraps that we did before. And we're just going to pull, 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 pull. Keep it nice and secure. And give it a little bit more of a tug so we can tighten up those two stitch spaces over there. So pull, pull, pull. I'm going to keep pulling. Hold it in place, but don't snap the yarn, whatever you do. And then I'm just going to weave again through those two stitch spaces. Just coming up like that. So weave this through once more behind the bow. Just grab your needle and work it through the back portion again. Just be careful not to get any hair involved as you are working up these sewing of the stitches. And there we go, that is nice and secure there. So it's going to work now. You're going to work this inside that same stitch space where you began and just come out somewhere in the body. Boom. So I want you to do a similar thing with this one, but only once, and go in the opposite direction. So here I'm just working in the opposite direction at the back here, giving it a little bit of a tug. And then I'm just going to work this through once behind, and you can see we're going the opposite way. Just to keep it a little bit more balanced, I think. At least that's what I tell myself. And then we'll come straight back here. And then at the back here where we have that other yarn tail, we're going to weave our second yarn tail through there. Give this a little twist to straighten it out if need be. And then with these two yarn tails, you guys know this one, we tie it in a double knot and then we cut it and hide it inside the body. Bow tie is officially on, or just the bow. And now we need the little hair buns, and that's it. Let's do the hair buns now. So I've pinned them right at the top here, just somewhere where it looks good, kind of poking out the sides, but relatively close together at the center of the head as well. Now, one at a time, we need to sew it. So what I want you to do, and just work with me here because we do need to add some fiber filling into this later on. So come here and work kind of underneath those stitches one step at a time. And I want you to work through, well, it depends. You could probably work through both of the front and back loops all the way around. That probably makes the most sense. So we're coming over here, we'll work this next space over here. And keep sewing all the way around. You're coming from the inside to the outside. This is why it can be a little bit difficult. You got to kind of push and pull it a little bit. Remove that pin when you feel like you no longer need it. So like, for example, for me, I'm probably going to remove it after this sewing of this next stitch to the head. Right, so I'm coming here and I'm going to come over this side this time. We're going to remove that pin and then just grab yourselves a little bit of fiber filling and kind of roll it up so it's nicely compact already before inserting it in. And then in the little space that you have left open, there should be 3 stitch spaces, so you should easily be able to push this in to the bun to fully secure it. So I'm going to let you guys do this because I need a little bit of concentration time, and I need to bring this closer to my face as well. But in any case, that's essentially what you're doing. You're just pushing it in, pushing until it's nicely secure in there. You don't want too much, you don't want too little as well. Just keep it nice and compact. And then from here, you're going to continue now with your sewing needle all the way around until you complete those final 3 stitches of sewing them to the head, to the top of the head / hair piece as well. So you can see here we only have 1 more stitch space to go. I'm coming out over here. This is looking wonderful. Here's my last space, and if you wanted to secure this even more, you could go back and forth a few times just to secure it even more. So there's my first one, nice and compact over here. We've got a hair bun. I want you to do exactly the same for this one and have it come out over here when you're finished. Okay, so this one has been sewn on with fiber filling also added. I've come out with these 2 yarn tails at the same spot, and I'm going to tie them together in a double knot. And then I will cut the yarn and hide that yarn tail. Give it a little bit of a pull inside the head. And there we go. So we have now officially finished Sailor Moon, the miniature pattern. So cute. Look at how adorable this is. Guys, if you wanted to add a keychain, I've linked a video over here. I think it's the Grinch video, where you can basically follow the same technique as what I did before. Basically grab your 1.9mm hook, see that center of the magic ring, come to the top section of it between rounds 1 and 2 and work through that center middle stitch, pull the yarn through, chain however many you need, and then when you do the slip stitch, you'll come back in the opposite direction and then then tie them together, then weave them through right at that same point, come out somewhere else, tie them together again, cut and hide in the body. And that's how you do the yarn chain. I have a couple of videos on that you can check out as well. But that is Sailor Moon all finished. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Let this channel grow, guys. Please help me out. We'll help each other out. So thank you. All right, see you in the next one. Bye, guys.